Hey Maniacs! Today we are in a new location, my garage, so I'm already sorry for the wind, which just decided to pick up right now. But yeah, we're in my garage, and today you get reading glasses Mad Dog because my eyeballs have been hurting, so this is making them a little bit better. And today we're actually going to be doing another work log. We're going to be making a wooden katana, and this work log is brought to you by all those make a paper katana tutorials because I didn't want to sit and fold and glue paper for many hours. I thought that was kind of boring. So I decided that instead of sitting and gluing paper, and instead of acquiring a whole wood shop, which apparently cosplayers do, but I really don't. I don't got the money for that. So instead, this is like wood props on a budget. I will actually be making this katana out of only $50 worth of materials. $20 of that was the wood, and then $30 of that was other materials, although I'm sure you could do that with a lot less. I just decided to invest in, like, for example, a whole file set instead of just one file, because I'm minoring in sculpture, which requires a lot of woodwork. So voiceover Mad Dog is probably gonna tune in and help narrate this debacle for you guys. But yeah, with that out of the way, I think we're gonna just get started so you don't have to listen to me try and talk more. Hey guys, voiceover Mad Dog here, and I'm going to be taking you through the process of making the Yuu Hyakuya sword, or just a basic katana if that's what you're using this for. The list that you can see on the screen is a list of all the materials that I use to make this work. And what's great about these is that they're all fairly inexpensive and can be found at local home improvement stores. And with that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut out your paper pattern if you haven't already, lay it down flat on one of the sheets of wood, tape it down if you need to, I did, and then trace it out. You want to make sure that when you're tracing, you not only trace out the outline, but you also draw in the little groove. Some people call it a blood groove. Sometimes it's not even there. Sometimes it's just the difference between the sharpened part of the blade and the flattened part of the blade. Either way, you're going to want to just draw that in just so you can have that as a reference. After you've transferred your pattern onto the wood, you want to take your coping saw and cut it out. I recommend, especially if you've never used a coping saw before, to cut a little bit away from your pattern line. Any mistakes made outside of the pattern will be fixed during the filing down process, but if you accidentally cut a big chunk out of your blade, that really can't be fixed unless you have like a whole lot of wood filler and patience. And as soon as you've cut out your sword, give it a good old swing. You gotta play with it, come on, you're a cosplayer. Okay, now that that's out of the way, you want to take your file, or in my case my set of files, and basically just file down the edge until the edge is actually aligned with the pattern that you drew onto the wood. You want to try and make it as smooth as possible, so any mistakes that you made during the cutting process should be fixed here. This can take a long time, so make sure you got some good old tunes to listen to while you're working. Oh, and here my brother decided to help me out. Thanks, bro. So here you can just see me darkening the groove line that I made on the blade, and also adding in a line down the center of the side of where the sharpened part of the blade is going to be, if that made any sense. Because essentially what you're going to be doing next is sharpening the blade. You're going to take your file and basically align those two lines on either side to make this little triangle blade thing going on. Although I started off using a utility knife just to start the edge, you definitely do not have to do that. So if you just have a file, that will work just fine as well. And then I get to sharpening. I essentially just take the file and make that triangle I was talking about, sharpening the blade. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that the blade is pretty even all over. You don't want it to be sharper in some areas and not others. So just be aware of the lines that you created and how smooth your edges are. Next, I decided that I wanted my handle to be thicker than my blade, so I glued some pieces of wood to that to make it thicker. And then I filed that down so that was nice and smooth and would feel really awesome when I was holding it. No rough edges that could give me splinters, just like a nice rounded edge. And then I sanded it all down so that it was super smooth, but essentially this is where the basic part of the katana tutorial ends. From here on out, it's all detail work. And just a quick PSA for you guys. So I'm not going to be showing you this in the tutorial, guys, but I did just want to tell you that I'm going to be making the sheath by using this blade shell piece and basically cutting that out in the shape of the sheath. You can see where I've started to draw it right there. And I'm going to be basically sandwiching it between the two other sheets. So if you don't need to make a sheath, you don't need actually 3 pieces of wood, you just need the one. But if you want to make a sheath, that is essentially how I will be making it. It's not going to be in the tutorial because it's long and I don't think you need to see me filing anymore because I'm basically gluing it together and filing it down until it's smooth. But just a heads up, that's how you do it. So here you can see I'm making the guard out of some extra wood that I had. But essentially from here on out, I am not going to be using materials that were listed at the beginning, because I'm going to be using things like Warbler and Model Magic, specifically for the design of Yuu's sword, not necessarily just a basic wooden katana. You can see how these materials come to play in the actual video itself, but I don't think they really need narrating, because if you're just using this for a basic katana tutorial, you may be wanting to use, for example, a flat cord and doing a traditional wrapping around the handle instead of this weird Warbler work. However, if you are actually making Yuu's katana, just pay attention to the video and you'll get the gist of it. And yeah, once you've done all your detail work, which, like I said, will vary, it's time to paint, and after that it's done. I recommend finishing your paint job with a high gloss spray so that it looks metallic and stuff, especially if you're doing Yuu's katana, because it is green and black, which ain't exactly metallic looking. I didn't do that in this video because it's super hot out and I'm afraid using anything from a spray can will ruin all of my work, but I will be doing that later on. And that's about it. I guess back to you, Normal Mad Dog. Alright friends, so my sword is not totally done, but this is essentially what it'll look like. This is the not done right here. I ran out of gold paint, I gotta get more. But it will be done soon. I hope you enjoyed this work log tutorial thing. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more work logs to come, obviously. And convention vlogs and practical cosplay. It's a good time here on my channel. So yeah, I guess that's about it for now. I hope that if you're using this to make your own katana, that it goes well. And definitely tag me in it on social media if you do. I guess that's all for now, guys. See you on the con floor.